Hi, I'm Craig Shields. I'm here with John Perlin. We're talking about his book, Let It Shine, the 6,000-Year Story of Solar Energy. And John, you were just talking about the suppression of the development of photovoltaics that was coming through leaders of state, the President of the United States. You're talking about the next...
Well, first, let's go back to Eisenhower. Eisenhower didn't spend a penny on solar because everyone believed that solar was its help, you might say, or its future was way in the 1,000 years from today, only until after we ran out of nuclear.
Yes,
So
sir.
Eisenhower, spent. He gave like billions, I think $10 billion worth of government research to private industry in nuclear. And not only that, but gave like $500 million for R&D for nuclear power plants. He gave under $100,000 for solar.
I see.
So that's not, okay, to give an example of the story, they had a huge UN conference on nuclear in 1955. I mean, the United States flew a reactor over. They published 20 volumes. They issued postage stamps for Atoms for Peace. On the solar side, they had a conference in Arizona that was sponsored by a few business people that had 5 very skinny volumes, and that actually bankrupted the organization that sponsored it. Pitiful.
Yes, indeed.
So that's 1955. So we then go to the Nixon era. The National Science Foundation was asked to, I guess it's called videate, right?
I don't know that word.
Well, to find through its research what were the right power sources for the future of America.
Okay.
They came to the conclusion, and I have the volume. There are only 2 of these existing in the United States, and it's in Mimeo, where they concluded that if we spent $250 million on development of PV, it would provide more power by the year 2000 than nuclear, and would have none of the, pollution or waste that a nuclear does, and so it would be a far better choice. But because the energy proposal was under the aegis of the Atomic Energy Commission, what they did was the National Science Foundation also stated that if we don't fund it with enough money, nothing will happen. So what they did is they took the National Science Foundation seriously by proposing very little money, $37.8 million for PV, and about $4 billion for various nuclear programs. And that gives you an example, right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. And then when they were asked about the existence of the National Science Foundation report on photovoltaics versus nuclear, the Nixon administration, I call it Solargate, the Nixon administration said it didn't exist. And Barry Commoner, who is the leading solar advocate at the time, he's a great scientist, but we won't go into him because we don't want to get on a tangent. He looked and looked for this report, which I have at home, and he was constantly told that it didn't exist. Okay, then we go to the Carter administration. The Carter administration is usually, the myth is that they were very pro-solar. And the fact is, once again, the Federal Energy Administration with the Department of Defense, here we have the military again, proposing to fast forward solar by buying photovoltaics for uses that would save the taxpayer money in 1977. And there were multiple needs by the military because they had all these remote power sources, remote power needs
Yes.
for generators. And it cost much more money at that time to power them with what we call the traditional way versus solar. So the taxpayers would have saved money. The military would have been very happy because of the stealth nature of PV. It didn't give the heat footprint.
Mhm.
And also the fact that you didn't have to always move fuel, which became, as we see in later years, a real Achilles heel.
Yes.
So the Carter administration vetoed that program. That would have really created, once again, a vital photovoltaic industry. It also had precedents that the way we developed transistors was in that way, was the United States wanted transistors, but the people were still buying vacuum tubes because the transistors, first of all, people were more accustomed to them, and second of all, the transistor was more expensive. So the military actually bought it down to get to using economies of scale, meaning the more you make, the cheaper it is, and also the more you make, the better you get to know what you're doing.
Exactly right.